y soy la senadora estatal del Distrito 25. Pero, aclarando, el primer título que yo tuve al nacer fue el título más importante que he tenido en mi vida, y eso es que soy hija de mi chingona madre, mi chaparrita Emma Villa. El día de hoy vamos a hablar de gente que influye. Mi mamá y nuestras mamás, nuestras tías, nuestras abuelas son las que nos influyen, nuestras hermanas. Así es que yo sé que se acaban de sentar, pero les voy a pedir a todas y a cada una de ustedes que se levanten y nos demos un fuerte abrazo por ser mujeres. That's right. First I ask you to sit down and then I ask you to stand up. What's going on here? My name is Karina Villa. I'm the Illinois State Senator of the 25th Senate District. But before that, my original and first title that I held was being the daughter of my badass mother, who's here today with us. And so we're going to go ahead and get this program started. Being a part of this day, I remember when Senator Celina Villanueva had the dream. She said, let's take this show on the road. Let's bring the Latinas together during Women's History Month. She said, and let's do it up big, and let's go somewhere where our ancestors would have never thought that we were going to be sitting. And I'm looking at you, my sister, at the door right now, and it gets me emotional to think about those conversations that we had when we were freshmen. And when she said, this is our dream to fill this beautiful space, and here we are today with each and every one of you. So my request to you is to be spoiled today. Feel the love from us. Feel the love from each other. We are going to hear from some amazing influencers. Listen to their stories. Listen to their fears, what it took for them to overcome in order to be in these spaces. I'm so thrilled and honored to share this stage with all of them. I want to make sure that we give a special shout out, and I think he might be the only gentleman that we mention in today's program, but he is a wonderful person who has lifted up the voice of his fellow Latinas in sponsoring this event. So Mr. Edgar Ramirez from Chicago Commons, please stand for an applause for hosting us today. Thank you, thank you. So this is our third event in a row, and it would not be possible without our legislators, without our community members, without our familias, and without our sponsors. So also please take time to glance at our program. On the back is a list of all of our incredible sponsors for today. And with that, I will pass it on to my amazing co-chair from the Latino Caucus, Representative Norma Hernandez.
Thank you so much, Senator. How's everyone doing? Good morning. Buenos dias. I am Norma Hernandez, representative of the 77th District, and I'm always excited and look forward to this event. And I still can't believe it's our third annual event. Time is flying, but this event specifically is only getting more and more hard to get to because we sold out over a month ago. So that tells you how important this event means to our people. We have some amazing and talented panelists who are breaking barriers in their own way. And I want us to take a moment to also thank our foundation team. We are so grateful, especially to our mujeres, Liz, Marissa, and Maggie. So please, let's give them a round of applause. I'd also like to take a moment and recognize our elected officials, many whom are women and were first Latinas in their respective roles. If you can please rise, and let's thank them for being here today and for their service. Many of them women, first Latinas in their respective roles, so let's give them a round of applause. Including our Congresswoman Dele Ramirez, who's the first Latina in the Midwest, so thank you, Congresswoman, thank you. I was asked to speak about what Latina Heritage Day means to me. And I'd like for us to really think about that for a moment. What does Latina Heritage Day mean to you? And even the men, yes, you also have to think about what this day means to you. So let's truly understand how powerful this is. We get to designate a day in the state of Illinois to Latinas, which is the first state in the country to designate Latina Heritage Day in the state. Which also gives us a reason to get glammed up and be in this beautiful space. To me, Latina Heritage Day means being proud of the values, the tradition, and the work ethic my mother taught me, my sister Janet, my tias, my primas, friends, our whole village. It also means that I get to be a part of creating spaces like these where we get to uplift and support our hermanas in this room who I'm sure have had to climb many, many mountains to be where they're at today. So let's give you all a round of applause for making it to where you are. In this room, you can see the power of Latinas. This is the power of women who support women and each other and are ready to take up space porque somos poderosas. Serving in the General Assembly, I can't tell you enough how much of a privilege it is to serve with the women that you see behind us in these loteria cards, to serve in a time where the majority of our Latino caucus is now women. Another great thing to be applauding for. The mentorship, the support, and community created in these spaces is how we can keep each other strong. We understand that there's still barriers that exist, and those won't go unnoticed. We know we need more Latina lawyers, principals, social workers, presidents, but today is about how we can make sure we feel supported, appreciated, and welcomed. I'd also like to take a moment with my senator here to also show that we did do a resolution in the General Assembly for the House of Representatives designating Latina Heritage Day as March 15th, 2025. So, this will go framed, and we'll really have this in our offices for the foundation. Not sure if you want to read some of it, but.
My eye doctor is one of my former students. I used to be a school social worker, and I said to her, "You're one of my favorite students, and we're going to keep it that way. We're not going to talk about the need for bifocals." So today, I'm going to struggle through this, and I will not tell her about that. All right, the State of Illinois House of Representatives, 104th General Assembly. This resolution was offered by State Representative Norma Hernandez and all of the Latino caucus. Whereas March has served as Women's History Month since 1987, and women of all races and ethnic thank you. A ver, ¿cómo se dice? Ethnicities. Okay, vamos. Continue to impact and influence not only their families, but also the next generation of leaders. And whereas Latina women have made an impressive impact on the state of Illinois and are driving force behind Illinois' economic growth, they now compose the largest group of women workers in the United States behind non-Hispanic Caucasian women, currently numbering over 14 million. They account for 17% of the female labor force and are projected to rapidly continue growing. I'm also reading continuation because we also have a Senate resolution being drafted by Senator Celina Villanueva, who's also the co-chair of the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus Foundation. Whereas designed to increase federal, state, and municipal resources that benefit Illinois Latinos, the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus has been vigilant in making sure members of their community have the proper necessities to become successful and create a legacy of which generations to come will be proud. Where the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus blazes a path for women in leadership to continue thriving for greatness while making unprecedented decisions that improve the quality of life for Black and Brown communities. Where the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus has become the voice of Latino communities in Illinois seeking change and equality and will continue preserving the history of its people And whereas establishing Latina Heritage Day in Illinois provides a dedicated time to celebrate and recognize the cultural and historical contributions of Latinas, as well as raise awareness of the challenges they continue to face. And whereas Latina Heritage Day will serve as an opportunity to uplift the voices and achievements of Latinas, promote civic engagement, and inspire future generations to continue the legacy of leadership and advocacy.
Resolved by the Senate of the 104th General Assembly, along with the House of Representatives in the 104th General Assembly of the State of Illinois, we declare March 15th, 2025 as Latina Heritage Day in the state of Illinois, and let it be further that a suitable copy will be given and presented to the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus as a symbol of our esteemed respect. So let's give ourselves a round of applause for making a day about Latinas and empowering each other. Now I'd like to introduce someone who truly is appreciated by all of us. Someone who has shown us true leadership and compassion in a time where our democratic values are being tested. We know you have poured into us with genuine care and support, Lieutenant Governor, and we thank you. We value you. Please help us welcome our Lieutenant Governor, Juliana Stratton.
Well, good morning, everyone. Feliz mes de la historia de la mujer. It is wonderful to be back for this beautiful Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus Foundation Latina Heritage Brunch. You know, yes, this room is filled with dynamic leaders. Yes, you are, in fact, all change makers and history writers, but I gotta say, you all look good while you are doing it. First and foremost, thank you to the Latina legislators of the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus for using your voices with courage and conviction. You represent an essential part of Illinois' story, and I'm grateful for your bold, fearless leadership. There are so many amazing fellow elected officials and leaders in this space. Thank you for being here, but I also especially want to thank a few people. Let me start with my friend and Foundation Executive Director, Osvaldo Alvarez. And of course, the women who lead the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus, my friends and partners, caucus co-chairs, Representative Norma Hernandez, and Senator Karina Villa, Representative Lillian Jimenez, and Senator Graciela Guzman. I am so grateful to work by your side as we build a more just Illinois. I love what today stands for. Soy Influyente, a celebration of Latina contributions to the world and your influence on our businesses, families, and communities. I want to share this light with the women across Illinois who have balanced raising families, chasing career goals, and weathering the uncertainty of the last few years. And let's be real, surviving the last few weeks that feel like years, by the way. When we talk about building an Illinois that works for all, we have to account for the uneven weight that women carry. It is not easy to make sure that our family gets where they need to be, to make sure that we run that one last errand, to tie loose ends that always seem to come undone, and then somehow make our careers, our dreams, and ourselves make sure that they're not lost in the process. See, there is a pervasive lie in American culture that says to be influential, we have to always have it together. We constantly hear that our impact only matters if we have the right degrees, the right title, the right bank account, or the right relationship. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having any of those things. I'm just saying that your influence does not depend on any of those things. See, influence appears in all kinds of ways. First-generation college students have influence. Entrepreneurs and small business owners have influence. Bilingual teachers have influence. Child care workers have influence. Single moms have influence. Those that have lived long lives and wear a crown of gray have influence. When I think of influence, I think of someone who uses what they have to open doors for others. And what better example than the Latina women that we celebrate today? Systemic obstacles like unequal access to capital and disturbing wage gaps have always haunted hardworking Latinas, and yet you still rise. In 2023, Wells Fargo found that Latina and Hispanic women-owned businesses generated $175.2 billion in the United States. But let me tell you something that remains a problem. If these same women were treated equal to their white counterparts, their contributed revenue would be closer to $296 billion. So, it's a big impact, but we should work together to dismantle obstacles, not only because it's the right thing to do, but also because your influence is good for business. Now, before I leave, I do have to acknowledge the federal shadow that's looming over us. For weeks, this new administration's horrific behavior has been aimed at our most vulnerable communities, and Latinas have been no exception. Some of our loved ones are navigating their days with a new, suffocating kind of weight on their shoulders. The weight of hate, the weight of ignorance, of racism and xenophobia. And by the way, who else like me is glad we have Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, who is fighting for us in Washington, D.C. So grateful for your leadership. See, Trump's administration is weaponizing their influence in an effort to pit us against one another, including the announced closure of the Small Business Administration office right here in Chicago. And attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion are trying to slam shut the doors that were pried open by our mothers and our grandmothers. But we're not going to let that happen, are we? Because we are not going back. And that is where Illinois' influence, your influence, can make a real change. Your voice does not need to be heard by millions in order to make an impact. It only needs to be heard by one. As we celebrate Latina heritage, let us also celebrate Latina futures. Never forget that your light is illuminating a path for one more to follow. Soy Influyente. May we use our influence to build a world with space for all. And may we never forget, it is our unity that is our strength. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. With that, it is my pleasure to now welcome a wonderful influencer in her own right, who just also happens to be chair of the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus Foundation. Please welcome my sister, Senator Salina Villanueva.
Good morning, everyone. How are the mimosas? Y'all appreciate that? So, there's so much to say and always we could be here for hours and hours and hours. But this event obviously has a very special place in my heart because We don't often get time as Latinas to celebrate us, to just be us, to be in community, to be with each other, but also to form relationships, to form bonds, and to see each other as we are, which is powerful, which is influential, which is everything. And I know my sister Karina talked about how I came up with this, and I've been telling, when I met with the panelists earlier this week, where it really stemmed from was when I was a baby organizer working in the mean streets of Chicago, baby organizing in my community. I kept running into these incredible executive directors at organizations, and one of them was Maria Pesqueira, who used to run Mujeres Latinas en Acción, which I now represent in my district. And I remember thinking how fascinating she was. And I had a mom who was a college graduate. She was, she raised the three of us, the three eldest of us, and went to night school. When I graduated high school, she was graduating with her master's. And it wasn't like I didn't have incredible women in my life. I'm selfish, like I want them all. And so I was like, and my mom was always a part of my life. I remember when my best friend Patty, and I've said this story for those of you before, when she was negotiating like the salary at her first job, was like, can I talk to your mom? Can I see, like, can she give me some advice? And it was stuff like that where I was like, I wish we all had that, because so many of us come from different backgrounds and different walks of life, and not all of us always have access to the women who have paved roads that were never paved before. And so for me, it was like, I had this sticky note on my laptop for forever. Like, I've been through several iterations of MacBooks, and it has contained, like, it's maintained in every iteration of the MacBook that I've had. And it was like, I want a Latinas brunch. I want a Latinas brunch because I want to drink mimosas, and I want to eat good food, and I want to chill with my people and have a good time, but I just want to break bread with really, really badass women, because that's what, like, I want to be surrounded by. Like, it's like, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Like, I want to be a bad bitch. And so, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to curse. I know we're being like live stream. Someone's gonna take that clip and be like, damn. But it's me, I'm authentic. Nobody's ever gonna lie and say that I'm fake, because I'm not. But I wanted that, and having this space and bringing Osvaldo on and bringing Liz on and being able to like make this happen is so amazing. And now having this the third year in the row, and like having a wait list of a lot of people who are like, we want to be in the room. It's like, I want to create the room and expand the room, because there's so many of us out there, whether you're 35, whether you're 15, whether you're 65, there's so much to learn from each other in all of our different spaces, especially in this country and all the crap that we're going through. It's amazing. And so I want to take a moment before I go into the panel, because we got some amazing panelists, and this is going to be a great conversation. If you see me crying and my mascara running, don't make fun of me, because it's going to be really, really good conversation. But I want to raise a glass to us. I want to raise a glass because it has been said, and I think that there have been studies that have shown that our mothers and our grandmothers carry us and the cells of us in their wombs. That means that our existence here is an existence that has been brought forward by generations and generations of struggle, of triumph, of hardship, but also attainment, of goals, of heart, of authenticity. It's been so much that has brought us to this moment. And it is up to us to continue to make those moments for the generations to come. So I want to raise a glass to us. Cheers. Salud. Because if nobody tells you, I'm going to tell you, you're amazing and you deserve a mimosa. You deserve a lot of other things, but they might not be good to say on camera. All right, we're going to get started with our panel. And so our panelists know I'm going to be calling you all up. And I'm going to be reading our bios of our incredible women. Also, y'all need to teach me how to be an influencer, because I'm trying to make, big money over here. So our first panelist, come on up, is Angelina Victoria. With her incredible versatility, captivating sound, and iconic imagery, Mexican-American singer, songwriter, actress, and model Angelina Victoria is one of the rising names of her generation and in the city of Chicago. As a child, Angelina aspired to become a performer, being heavily influenced by several powerful women performers such as Selena, Ariana Grande, Lady Gaga, Madonna, and just to name a few, me too, girl. Angelina was a 2020 graduate of the Chicago High School for the Arts and is also a graduate from Columbia College, so she is a Chicago girl through and through. Her deep devotion and appreciation for everything in the realm of music have influenced her to perfect her craft, and she is extremely dedicated to becoming an international artist. In October of 2024, so not too long ago, at the age of 21 years old, Angelina officially signed a record deal with Warner Music and will be working on her first album. So I'm assuming that's happening right now. All right, give it up. Our next panelist is Angelica Gallegos. Angelica Gallegos, yeah, give it up for Angelica. Es una destacada cantante y compositora mexicoamericana que ha consolidado, I'm gonna mess up my Spanish, yeah, su carrera en el género de música regional mexicana. Su versatilidad artística abarca producciones acompañadas por mariachi, banda sinaloense y norteño, y siempre con el compromiso de transmitir mensajes profundos y significativos a través de su música. La trayectoria de Angélica comenzó en el 2013 cuando compartió su primer cover en YouTube, plataforma donde rápidamente captó la atención de una audiencia creciente. En el 2020 lanzó su álbum debut de temas inéditos, Floreciendo, un proyecto que marca el inicio de una nueva etapa en su carrera, inspirándose de sus propias vivencias y en las historias de mujeres que la rodean. All right, everybody, give it up for Angelica. Up next, we have Cynthia Rosario, a passionate advocate and global change maker. Cynthia is an international empowerment speaker, author of empowerment courses, and executive director of a 50-year-old religious nonprofit serving underserved communities in Chicago. A devoted mother of five and seasoned co-pastor of 12 years, alongside with her husband of 23 years, Cynthia's leadership has transformed lives through initiatives providing food, clothing, and vital resources to underprivileged areas. She's the first female Midwest director of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, and she's also the co-founder of Youth on Fire, Jóvenes en Fuego. She's currently pursuing her doctorate in ministry, so go ahead, girl. And her life goal is to help others take one step closer to their destiny whenever or whether through a talk she shares, a sermon she delivers, a mentorship session, a social media post, or even a smile, a hug, or a look. Whatever the avenue, Cynthia is committed to leaving a legacy of hope and empowerment for that next step in people's lives. Give it up for Cynthia. All right, up next, we got my girl, Mireya Villarreal. Mireya is a distinguished hairstylist, which, don't look at my canas, girl, like, we're not gonna look at the top of my head, we're gonna look at the outfit. Mireya is a distinguished hairstylist with a rich professional background whose journey has taken her from a modest 600 square foot salon to the helm of Pink Pewter, a globally recognized beauty brand. She leads the Pink Pewter Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit, and co-visions the Beauty Gives Back event, both of which empower aspiring beauty professionals by providing grants and scholarships. Her passion lies in inspiring others through her own narrative of triumph, challenges, and unwavering determination. Give it up for Mireya. We got a couple more to go, because as you see, we got a bunch of cheers. We got some amazing women. Up next, we have Rebecca Nieves Huffman. Having been the first in her family to graduate from college, Rebecca has been a longtime national and local leader for educational equity and access. She is the founder of her consulting practice, R&H Coaching, and currently works with clients who want insights, strategies, and supports in marketing, fundraising, and board development. In the summer of 2020, when the pandemic was in full swing, Rebecca began to share content on social media focused on her family's recipes, first-generation advice, coaching, and her favorite brands with a focus on companies that are owned by women and people of color. In a short amount of time, her following has grown with viral videos that focus on food, kitchen hacks, and celebrate culture. Up until August of 2019, Rebecca served as the executive director of City Year Chicago. That's a huge deal. I think I actually applied to work there in my past year. So Rebecca has dedicated her life's work to bringing an authentic, empowering voice. If you ask her what she was put on this earth to do, her response will be to empower my people to live a life of options. Give it up for Rebecca. All right, last but not least, Noemi Aguilar Horta. Come on up, Noemi. Noemi Aguilar Horta is a bookkeeping and tax professional. And y'all know that your taxes are coming up, so you're gonna keep her busy. And is the founder of Pical Tax and Accounting LLC, a virtual accounting firm helping business owners master their finance with ease. She also leads Mama Accounts, a social media company and training hub empowering moms to build thriving bookkeeping businesses from home. Through her Mama Accounts bookkeeping community and tax academy, Noemi mentors aspiring bookkeepers and tax pros, teaching them how to start and scale their firms with confidence. She shares expert insights on taxes, bookkeeping, and business growth through her courses, social media, and live trainings. Wife, mother of three, and faith-driven entrepreneur, Noemi is on a mission to help others achieve financial success and flexibility. Give it up to our panelists, everyone. Yes, now it's on. I'm gonna get comfortable because we have an incredible group of women who all look amazing. FYI, we're very stylish. Yes, we can give it up to that. I am also a Maxinista, so. All right, we're gonna start with our first questions. I wanna learn from you, because I think after all of this, we're all gonna wanna become influencers, because this is like amazing, but I also know how much hard work this is. It isn't easy. I think sometimes people look at us like in public office and they're like, I could do that. And I'm like, yes, but what you don't see is the globs of concealer under my eyes right now because of how tired I am. But I also think that that's true with influencers. Like, you don't really have a day off. Like, you're not, like, this is a full-time 24/7 gig. And what I really like is to try to demystify some of these arenas, these industries, because I think a lot of times people say, I can't do that. Like, I mean, my friends follow me, but how can I build a following of tens of thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people? And how is that even possible? But I want to start with this first question, because being a Latina influencer, you know, obviously in all of your bios, there's something that shows about who you are and being Latina and how that's played a role. So I want to hear from you guys. What role has your cultural background played in shaping your content and your approach to your audience? So we're gonna start off over at the end with my friend Noemi back there.
Okay, I think it's on. Okay, so I think one of the biggest things that it has had the influence is because I'm Latina, I get to speak Spanglish, right? And so I was like, somos Spanglish, right? That's fun. And the funny thing is that the reason why I actually went viral mostly on TikTok, it wasn't because of the dancing, okay? I do have some dancing videos in there though. That's because my daughter was
Wait, you're doing the
that.
TikTok videos? You want to teach us one right now?
It was for fun. We were bored in the pandemic, right? Like, it was so boring in that time. But the thing was, it's like, obviously during the pandemic, I've been doing taxes for over 10 years, and in the Mom Accounts community has been teaching moms, right, how to master the skill set of bookkeeping. So when the pandemic hit, right, there were so many like PPP loans and like loans for people and like the stimulus checks, right, everything that was happening. So it was all being sent, information given out in English. And I said, oh my gosh, okay, no. Everything I hear, things are going viral, people need information. Everyone's on TikTok right now because we're locked in. Let me do this information in Spanish. So I was able to 100%, you know, put out my information and translating it into Spanish and even speaking to la comunidad de personas que no tenían esa información, because it was really all just given out in English. So literally overnight, I went viral on TikTok, which was crazy. And I was like, the next day, oh my gosh, what is happening? Which was really fun. And then from there, just really leading into like, okay, like I found my people. Like I don't have to just speak English, porque pues soy latina, right? ¿Por qué no incorporar mi lenguaje? Porque yo sé que no soy la única. And I think when I was able to do that in the social media platform, you know, it expanded to way more than just sharing about taxes and sharing about bookkeeping. And it came way more than that. And when I was able to actually talk more about my story, you know, like relating to that Latina mom. I mean, I was a teen mom, college dropout, you know, and it's like I actually embraced that a lot because I am who I am today because of that. You know, and unfortunately, statistics te dicen, no, pues tú nomás vas a servir para tener hijos, ¿verdad? And I'm like, no, number one, there's nothing wrong with that, because como mamás somos empoderadas, right? Dile a una mamá, a una mujer que no puedes hacer algo, like, watch me, right?
My mom did, so
Absolutely.
Yeah, girl.
You know, so being able to share that story with my culture, with my community, in my language, and knowing it was sometimes like, pretty scary to see how many actual women related and had a very similar story to mine. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to keep talking about this. Porque hay una mamá, hay una jovencita, hay una mamá que se acaba de hacer mamá, que maybe cannot go back to college for whatever reason. Pero there is options out there, you know, and there is another way. It's not always like, you know, not to say anything about like college or anything like, yes, that's a way, but there's also another way too. Y no nomás porque te hiciste mamá, no nomás porque te saliste de la universidad, significa que you don't have a voice, like you absolutely do. And you have a skill set that you can embrace and turn it into a business, because si yo lo he podido hacer, yo sé que las demás lo pueden hacer.
Thank you. Rebecca, what, and we know this a little bit, I said it in your bio, you have taught me, and not that I didn't know, but I was like, okay, this is the real way to make arroz con gandules. But you have shared so much of being, you know, who you are through, you know, your accounts and obviously your social media. What role has, you know, brought, like, what is the role, like your cultural role obviously played in your development as a social media influencer?
Culture was front and center. I mean, not just that I am a Puerto Rican born and raised in Humboldt Park, but culture is various things, right? Being a first-gen college grad, that was very impactful. I was the trailblazer in my family that opened up the way for the rest of us to make a way for ourselves in the city. It was also caretaking for my mother, who was living with us during the pandemic and had recently been diagnosed with dementia. And that right there alone was so relatable to our community, because 2-3 generations, 4, living in one household is a norm. And I just want to take a moment right now and recognize those that are caretakers of elders and their family.
Yes.
If that's you, I want you to stand up, right? Párate ahora, if that's somebody that, thank you. If you are taking care of someone, an elder in your family, I just want to tell you this. Thank you. It is hard. It is so, so hard. And you guys are the unspoken heroes in the village. And I see you. And that is what me sharing the story of caretaking for my mom said to my community is, Te veo, I see you. I'm here to be a resource. And my community was a resource to me when I was going through the struggle bus of taking care of 2 I'm middle-aged, middle school kids, being a wife, an entrepreneur, all the things while caring for my mom. And so it was front and center, and I'm very proud of that.
You know, when I started following you on TikTok, it was obviously like the recipes, and I got to give shout outs to one of my mentors, Yvette, who's actually the original person who taught me how to make arroz con gandules, but I had forgotten, and I didn't want to like tell her that she needed to teach me again. So I was like, oh, Rebecca. But I remember you sharing about your mom, because I very similarly, during the pandemic, my mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and unfortunately subsequently passed away. But of how much of that missing voice of caretakers, especially during a pandemic where we didn't, like, it's not like you could run out or like people could come into your house and caretake. Like, it was really up to a lot of folks. And I think there's been such a change in our perception of healthcare because of that. And obviously in our communities, like we rarely, like my grandparents were not sent to an old folks home. They were in their house until they went to my tia's house, and people take turns. But you know, that's who we are. It's so much of who we are. And I love how you were honest about like the struggles, because it's not easy. And I think that's what I appreciate about all of you ladies is, it's not easy doing the stuff that you're doing, whether it's singing, because I love y'all. I would do some karaoke. I can't sing as well as I used to anymore. But of putting yourself out there and really, you know, showing people, obviously like a version of you, because it's, you know, however long your videos, but also of really putting yourself out, you know, vulnerably on things. And so, you know, I'm gonna throw it to Mireya on the next thing. Like, how has your roots played a role in what you're putting out into the world?
Well, I come from a 600 square foot salon, $12 haircuts, and it's my mom's salon in Melrose Park. She still has it, by the way. And it is...
We're out, girl, we're out. Give a shout out to the mom, because if...
I think she's in the process of retiring.
Okay.
She's not mentally there yet, so she's still working. But growing up in that salon is everything about me, says everything about me. I learned so much about her creating her brand, the way she ended up treating her customers, the way she ended up connecting with the community. And on the weekends, you know what she used to do? Every weekend, every customer knew that she was going to bring tamales. Oh yeah, they came and get their hair done and they ate tamales. And she's incredible. Well, what she ended up doing, she ended up planting a seed in me. And I bring, in my social media, I bring my sazon. I'm happy all the time. You know, she used to dance when she used to do her customers. Well, guess what? When I'm creating on social media, I am dancing. I am real. I'm authentic. What you see is what you get. It's not working. What you see is what you get. And, you know, in order for you to connect with the audience, you have to be real. And the more real you are, the more you're going to grow. And the more you grow, the more connections you have. And it's pretty incredible. So those roots are from my mom.
I'm so glad that you talk about being real, because that leads me to my next question. And Cynthia, I'll throw it to you. How do you maintain an authentic voice while navigating the pressures of social media? And I'll be 100% honest with you, that's a question that I'm constantly grappling with as an elected official, because it's very easy to get lost in the privilege. Like, there are moments where, like, as soon as we hit Springfield, like, it's thing after thing after thing, and like somebody's taking care of your lunch. Like, I had somebody bring me a bagel the other day. Vittorio, shout out to you, because you saved me, because I did not eat and I needed that bagel. That's not privilege. That's a brother helping me out, because I was really hungry. My stomach was eating itself. But it's very easy to get lost in the privilege of being like, man, I'm the, you know, like, we are the shit. But like, also, how do you maintain like your groundedness? So how do you maintain your authentic voice in all of this?
Well, I'm also a Humble Park girl, just letting you know. And I love it. We come from a background where it's very simple. You lived in a one-bedroom apartment with 10 people, right? But keeping your authentic self is making sure you won't compromise with any room you're in. For instance, we're in this room. You're not compromising who you are. But it's the constant understanding and reminder, no, my influence will come with a price. And that price is failure. And that price is, I have to get back up again. But when we see that we can get an education from our failure, it doesn't matter who's in the room. I'm still gonna talk the way I talk, with my Spanglish accent, with my, you know, Chicago Rican self. It doesn't matter. And so when you walk into spaces, and I understand what you're saying, because I speak internationally as well, and sometimes I walk into spaces and I'm just like, oh my goodness, if my girlfriends are back there, they would know. I've asked them, Becky knows, hey, you good? Oh my goodness, I might have to put a filter on it. But do you? If you can't say it at home, would you be able to say it out loud? Who are you influencing and why? Or are you just creating a facade? Life has no filters. Eventually, the truth is gonna come out and the lies are gonna come out. So I prefer to keep it authentic, by always speaking the truth. And if they don't like it, well, here I am. You can scroll to the next one.
I feel like Southwest Side, Northwest Side, we got that down on lock. Not the suburbanites, we got you too. I'm just saying, as a Southwest Sider, you know, little village over here, there you go. Like, you gotta keep it real, because people will call you out real quick and be like, oh, but I'm glad that you said that. It makes me feel better, because I also see myself when I'm like turning on the proper English and being like, oh, I have to speak a certain way. And then being like, nah, I don't feel like that. That's too much. Like there is a theatricality to the work that we do, especially when we're debating. Like, I love debating Republicans. It's my favorite thing to do. I make them look bad, and I make me look great. But you know, and that's like the kind of like the show of the job. But you know, when we're kind of building together behind the scenes, it's like, I want to be in sweatpants and Jordans. Like I love dressing up, but I just want to be me. And sometimes I know people see me and they're just like, you're not dressed like a senator. And it's like, yeah, because I like sweatpants. I like going to Costco. Like, I like being a human being.
It's like, take off the faja.
Yeah, or like, you know, like I remember growing up and like when you see, yes, your faja, yeah, taking off your bra and being like, huh. I remember growing up and like when you would run into your teacher out in the wild, because like I'm gonna see you guys in the wild now and I'm gonna be like, I can say hi to you now. But of being like, wait, you have a life? Like, your life isn't just like the camera always on or always in front of people. So I'm glad that you said that, because I think it's so important in the process of demystifying this that you get to be you. Like, and you should be you, because that's amazing. And people will pay attention and they will follow you and they'll listen to you because you're being you. I think that's amazing. So ladies, we got some future Grammy winning singers over here. We're putting it out in the universe, because if you put it in the universe will provide. If you haven't read The Alchemist, make that happen. But I wanted to throw it to you, because obviously you're in a space of being an influencer, but you're also singers and songwriters, and I'm probably a million and other things. Like, I can tell you all my love tribulations, and you can probably write 1,000,001 songs.
Let's do it.
Yes. We're not gonna name names of those men, but you know, they know who they are. But how do you all in particular maintain your authenticity and an authentic voice in the worlds in which you're existing in?
I think for me personally, you mentioned earlier, I've been on YouTube since 2013, so it's been quite some time. And I think my authenticity on social media has started up here and then took a dive and then came back up. So I think I got really lucky that I started on social media with no intention of it being anything. At the time, I was studying at UIC, and
all right, UIC girl.
Yeah.
I think we have some UIC folks in the house.
But I was studying engineering and had probably 0% faith in myself as a musician. I was teaching myself how to play guitar, so I started uploading these covers on YouTube to like share with friends and family. And that was my most authentic self. Like, I would come into the dorms after class and record my videos and share them with everyone. And thankfully, like, started growing bit by bit, and it got to a point where I was like, wow, like, now I feel this responsibility of there's people that are watching that I don't know personally. And I did feel like at one point I had to kind of put in like, okay, no, I'm an artist. I have to watch what I say. I have to look good every time I'm on camera, and I realized like my fastest growth was when I was my most authentic self. So recently I'm like, this is like the best version of myself. I put this on for you guys. I don't look like this.
You look amazing. I'm gonna go home. This is gonna be my Beyonce outfit.
I did like a 20-minute makeup routine in the car on the way here, but I don't look like this. And if you guys follow me on social media, you'll only see me like this when I'm at like an event, but my day-to-day like content that I'm sharing my songs, like I'm not wearing makeup. I have really bad dark circles. Like my ganas are coming in and I'm just embracing it. And I think a part of that too has been like understanding that my job is not to be an influencer. It's thankfully I'm making music at a time where I have this like beautiful tool that's free and available to me to share my most authentic self without like the pressure of the music industry telling me, especially as a woman, that I have to look a certain way or dress a certain way. So,
And specifically as Latinas, like you have to,
Yeah.
are you Latina enough? Like, do you know, like, is your hair the color that it needs
Yeah.
to be? Like, yeah.
I've just gotten to a point where I'm like, dude, I don't care. And I've had people in the industry tell me like, you know, para que te vaya mejor, like you should do this and you should wear that. And I'm like, dude, I'm doing this because I like it. So for me to enjoy it and to feel zero pressure, it's like, I'm just gonna be me.
Thank you, thank you. Angelina, I feel like
Thank
I know
you. I
you a
didn't
little
have a
bit
mic.
because I know some of your relatives who might be in the audience who have told me about you. But how do you maintain an authentic voice? I know you're 21.
I actually just turned 23 on Valentine's
Oh,
Day.
23 years old. All right, happy belated birthday. Thank you. But how do you're obviously growing up. I remember when I was 23. I love to party. Best friend knows this because we were partying together. A few of y'all in here where we were partying together. How are you developing your voice and how are you maintaining your groundedness?
Yeah, so it's so interesting because I always knew that I wanted to be a singer. Like since I was like 2 years old, I was dancing and singing and trying to put on shows for my family. And I always knew that I wanted to have a voice as a Latina in the music industry and just being a performer in general as well. So I studied at a very, very young age. At 6 years old, I was studying opera and musical theater and country and all these different genres. And then I went to the Chicago High School for the Arts in Humboldt Park. Yeah, and I studied musical theater there. So honestly, I really thought that was going to be my path for quite a while because, you know, I loved doing it all. I loved being an actress and a dancer and singer and performer, the entire, like, just the whole shebang.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Selena, even though my name is Selena growing up. I was like, I want to be her. I want to do the washing machine.
Uh-huh.
Hey, don't act like y'all ain't do the washing machine.
But
We
yeah.
can get up and do that and it'll be on TikTok real quick.
We should do that. We should. That's how you build engagement.
We'll make the guys do it
That's exactly
too.
how you build engagement. But yeah, so I just kind of bring everything that I've studied and everything that I've always wanted to do since I was little into my work now, especially with Warner Music. Now that I recently signed and working on my album, really bringing my voice into every single song that we're writing and we're putting into the album. And also, like, I grew up with social media, really. I grew up with Instagram, I grew up with TikTok, like just coming up, like we grew up together.
Thank you for making me feel old.
I'm so sorry.
We didn't have the Facebook until college.
It was MySpace.
Oh, we had MySpace. My bad. My top 8. My bad. We had MySpace. I remember curating my top 8. Look at me being an influencer.
No, but yeah, so I think since I got that experience of these social media platforms like starting and you know, just being able to grow up as they were still developing, I kind of developed this really strong mindset where, like, you know, you have to have a strong mindset when it comes to social media, especially, you know, you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And there will be
And people trying to like comments
and
all of that.
opinions, and you know, you really have to not care so much what people are gonna say, and that's something I had to deal with at a very, very young age. So yeah, I think that's what's helped me the most with being authentically myself.
Because I do think that that's one of the other things that when you see like influencers in the wild, but also when I read some of these comments, like sometimes I'll look like a video and I'll be like, oh, because based off of what that person said, I'll be like, you know, they're being eaten up in the comments. Or like of just being like, I hope somebody like is reinforcing this like if this is like a good thing. Like the world kind of like trying to put you in a box and be like, oh, you're this, and then, but treating you not like you're a human being. And that always sucks, because we get that too. Like, I'll be honest with you all, like, it sucks when someone tells you, like, go back to your country, and I'm like, I have to be a US citizen in order to run for office, so I'm here. If you're telling me to go back to Little Village, gratefully so, amazing food. But, like, oftentimes people forget that we're actual human beings. And that like we bleed just like everybody else does. We have people who love us and that we love just like everybody else does. And something that you said made me want to ask this question that was not in the questions, but hopefully it'll be an easy one, is, and something that Rebecca, you talked about too with your mom, who influences you and who inspires you? Who inspires you? You want to start? You got the mic. Angelina's like, I already know, girl.
Well, for me, I'm inspired by the women in my family, the women that have surrounded me my entire life. Like my mom, for example, like has been such an amazing influence on my life, and she's supported me through thick and thin, through every single dream that I've had since I was little, and as well as my aunt, my tia, Liz Aquino.
Give it up for Liz.
Give it up for Liz.
I can't say you're my favorite Aquino anymore because Isa and Omarcito might kill me. But give it up to my Aquino lovely family over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've had incredibly powerful women around me my entire life, and that have supported me as well. And you know, as an artist, I've always been inspired by Selena Quintanilla and Lady Gaga.
Also, love me some Lady Gaga.
Me too.
She's got a new album out.
Mm-hmm. Period. But yeah, like just
hit me up, Lady Gaga, if you're listening. Angelica, you want to tell us who inspires you?
Sure, yeah. So I think there's a lot of different people, right, that have been super influential in my life. Let's see if
it's okay if you cry too, because whenever I start really talking about my mom, the tears come because I miss her every moment of every day.
I might cry.
It's all right. This is a safe space, right?
I'm running on 1 hour of sleep, so my emotions are like,
yeah. Who's got to stand up? Is it Mama?
No, Senator Karina Villa.
Aw, she inspires me too.
I need a hug.
We love her.
We give her a hug.
Yes. I'll tell you guys a story of me and Karina. Because Karina is Senator Villa and I'm Villanueva, so we're always like, she's first and then I'm second. But I had a lobbyist come up to me, or no, staff came up to me and they were like, we heard you were mad about something. And I'm normally mad about something. I'm usually mad because I haven't gotten enough sleep. But like my demeanor is like cranky and then it goes into like silliness. And I didn't know what I was mad about, but I just played it off and I was like, yeah, I'm real pissed off. And it just ended up being that the topic that I was supposedly pissed off about was actually something that I knew about because it was something we were working on as a Latino caucus. And I was like, I just ran with it. And then I walked away from that and I was like, I didn't know that I was mad because I didn't say anything to anybody. Turns out that the person that was mad was Karina Villa. But everybody was like, Karina can't be mad about stuff. Like, she's always smiling. It's definitely Selena. She's always angry and has resting bitch face all the time. But we just play off each other so well that I was like, I don't know what I'm mad about, but I'm gonna go with it, and then I'm gonna figure out who's actually mad, so I could be like, I got your back, girl. I got your back. And so that's how we show solidarity.
But so, and now that I've recomposed myself, just a quick story, and she mentioned earlier she used to be a school counselor, so she was actually my middle school counselor.
Shout out to our school counselors.
Also my dance team coach, and I don't know, I think it was really cool for me to see someone that was like living a life that I was like, wow, that's super dope. Like, she's traveling, she like loves what she does, she dresses really nice, like, and I was 12 at the time, and I was like, I think that's like something that I want for myself. And thankfully we reconnected like years later. She helped me kind of figure out what I was doing with college, and like she just visited my hometown in December. So like I've gotten to share a lot with her, but even though like our professional lives are very similar, I think she's really taught me to like stand my ground and be who I am and not be shy about it.
Hearts. I can't make a real heart. In Chicago, we don't do the Gen Z heart because that's a gang sign. So I'm just saying, if you're out there in the world and you're doing that Gen Z heart, don't come to Chicago because, yeah. Cynthia, who influences you? Who inspires you? Okay, you laugh now, but wait until it happens. Yeah, that's a true Chicagoan. Cynthia. Yes, I do make myself laugh at random thoughts, and I do have these random thoughts all the time.
That was beautiful.
Sorry about that.
Don't say sorry. We're with our cariños right here.
We can be chillonas and chingonas. Like, it's all relative.
So my story's a little funny because, well, not funny. I was bullied a lot, and there was some moments of abuse in my childhood. And because of that, I always walked with my head down. I was very quiet in rooms. You would not see me on a stage. You would not see me speaking in front of anybody. But I had a father who was phenomenal. And I have a mom who's amazing. My father passed away 15 years ago, so I'm with you, sweetie. But when I was little, I remember I couldn't raise my head up, and it was hard because every day after school, I would just cry. But I wouldn't show my tears to people, right? You know, they tell you, usted no va a llorar enfrente de la gente, and you're like, okay. So my father would put me in front of the mirror, and he'll say, I want you to look at her. And I would look up, and he says, who is she? And I said, I don't know. I don't know who she is. I'm the only girl in a home of all boys. And he would come again, he's like, who is she? I said, I don't know. He's like, she is strong. She is amazing. She is of God, and she's my daughter. And when I would look in the mirror, I would have to repeat these things to myself. And today, I still have to look in the mirror at times and say, I am strong, I am amazing, I am a daughter of God, and yo soy la hija de Radame Galarza.
Yes.
So we have to stand up at times and tell ourselves and talk in the mirror. And so that's why when you were crying, it's good to cry because it shows the recognition of a price that was worth every last bit of it. So I honor you for this price. And I honor all the dads and all the moms out there that had to pay a price, and I honor you because there's many here today that are paying a price so your children won't have to live out the abuse and the pains that you had to live. And I also want to honor all the abuelitas. I didn't have an abuelita. They've all passed away before I was born. But when I look around and I see my mom covering my children and saying, I'm with you, I'm cheering you on, I'm there. And even though my dad's not here, but to see her stand up, and she's like a whopping 5 feet high. She's, tiny, she has her aches and pains. But when she calls my kids and she says, I believe in you, those kids believe it. Because they know that she paid the price for their mom to be in front of them today. So I leave you with that.
I know, we work on some really difficult subject matter at the state level because like we are fighting back against a lot of the stuff that's happening nationally. And I often get asked the question like, how do you do it? And I'm like, because I never walk alone. Like when I walk into places that were never meant for us, like I walk with my grandmas, because in my family we call them, everybody's a mama. Like mama, all my abuelitas were mama, because like they were like, we are not old enough to be abuelitas. So it was like my grandma was mommy, my mom was just mom, but like my great grandmas were even mamas, like my mama Paulita, mama Crucita, and I walk with them and with the strength because they brought me here. They carried me in their wombs before, I was really here. And that's why I said that, because I think about that and I think about, damn, like the things that they had to overcome in order to get, and for me to be here, like of all of the things that have to be fought and overcome in order for me to get to this point, and I owe it all to them. I would owe it all to the incredible women. And I also got an amazing dad who's like, nah, you're gonna get out there, you tell them who sent you. And I'm like, yeah, Dad. But I want to throw it to Mireya. Who inspires you? And I see, it's like, it's therapy, y'all. Like, we're therapizing right now.
No, I think today is just going to be about my mom. Like the question before and now today. My mom, and I'm going to tell you why. She's an immigrant from Mexico, and she came to the United States for a better life like everybody here, right? And she opened up a little salon in Melrose Park, like I said. And as I told you before, I watched her every day. And I've never met, till this day, someone that works harder than she does. She gets up at 5 in the morning and she cooks dinner, lunch and dinner. She went to work at 7 o'clock in the morning and didn't come home till 11 o'clock. Now, we were raised in that salon because we lived on top of it. But I tell her, she's a great mother, a great wife, a great cook, a great hairdresser. People that know her love her. Like, she's her therapist. She makes them feel beautiful. And she taught me so many incredible things. But I do yell at her pretty much every day because she taught me how to work. And I'm going to tell you, I outworked her. And for me, I tell my husband, I said, dude, you got to work harder because I'm always working. And I think it's a disease.
Hey, tell him to step up.
No, I work 7 days a week and I have so many projects and my mind's always going, and I blame her because she was so incredible. She hustled like no other, and she taught me and my sister and everyone around her that hard work is earned, right? And that is what I teach to everyone. Nothing is given to you. You got to outwork everyone. And I don't know, maybe I might not be the best hairdresser or public speaker, but I could outwork anyone. And that is how I win, and that is how you can win also. And I blame that on my mentor, my mom.
I love that. 100,000,000%. I love that.
You're gonna meet her.
Because yes, you gotta hustle. Because there's a lot on the line. Rebecca, I know you got some gems for us. Because you all, like, I'm already like tearing up over here. I'm gonna go cry behind the scenes in my mimosa. But
I'd be ugly crying, so I'm not gonna cry.
oh, I ugly cry. Somebody got me to ugly cry recently on camera, and I was like, I hate you so much for making me do that.
The matriarchy is real in the Hispanic community. Let's just call it out. My mom obviously was a huge inspiration to me. I lost her a little bit over a year ago. And I said I wasn't gonna ugly cry. But one thing one thing to know about my family, my husband and I were totally documentary geeks. During the pandemic shutdown, we would have movie nights and my kids were like, can we pick the movie? Because you guys always want to watch documentaries and they're depressing. And the reason why I mentioned that is because when you peel back the onion of our history and understand what our ancestors and our elders had to go through to pave the way that we walk on, we skip along without that perspective. My husband says something in passing, so it's his quote. I'm not going to attribute it. But he says, on my hardest days, my struggles and my problems are actually the answers of the prayers of our ancestors. Think about that. If I'm in the middle of a negotiation with a potential client and they're trying to lowball me and I'm getting frustrated about that, or with a brand deal that is like, I know my worth and I know that you're paying that white content creator way more than what you're trying to offer me.
Tell them.
I think to myself, my ancestors would have loved to have been in a position of negotiating a 5-figure, contract. So that's the perspective and the inspiration that fuels the work that I do.
I lost my mom. It's been 4 years. It's gonna be 5 years this year. And grief is like waves of the ocean. Like sometimes they're bigger waves and sometimes they're smaller waves, but they're waves nonetheless. And it's one of those things that it's like, I don't want to apologize anymore for shedding tears for my mother because I know that she shed them for me because of all the headaches I gave her. And my sister gave her way more headaches than I did. But also because it's so much love that we still have left to express for them. And I think saying their names and honoring them is so important. Noemi, your particular expertise is something that it's so important. And I think about my dad, because my dad has a 6th grade education. My dad labors, like to this day, he wakes up and he's out of the house by 7 a.m. I'm barely opening up my eyes and like taking the crust out of my eyes probably at 8 a.m. If anybody knows me here, you know I don't like doing meetings before 10 a.m. because I am not a human. So if you try to meet me before that, unless there is pancakes involved, I don't want it. So hence why we had food and mimosas, because that's really the initiative. But especially in our communities, and again, so many of our experiences, like I know my dad has told me over and over again, I do this work, I bust my ass because I don't want you to have to break your back, doing a job, even though I feel like I'm doing it in my job right now, but for the right reasons. But he's like, I want you behind a desk. I want you, in a setting, because in his mind, that's the goal, right? Is I came to this country because I don't want you to have to do, and not that there's any shame in the work that he does. It is humble work, but it is very important work in this country, from our servers to the people cooking our meals. Like all of that is amazing work, and they're the ones who make our world go round. So I want to clarify that for anybody that is misconstruing that. I don't see my father's work any different than I see my own work. It's just different roles in all of the world that we're playing in community. But I know that his story and his motivation whenever he talks to me is, this is why I did that. I crossed that border not knowing what was to come because I wanted to give you all a future. And I wanted to see you in situations that I would have never dreamed, and like having him meet like the governor and stuff like that, he's like, when would I ever imagine myself in these situations? But it's true. And so I see the work that you're doing, and not that the rest of the work isn't important, because it is, but particularly with taxes and bookkeeping and finance, it isn't necessarily something that our communities know very well. And it isn't something that our folks necessarily go into. So who inspires you? Like, who motivates you? Who's the person that said, I'm gonna do this shit and I'm gonna do it well, and made you want to do it?
Oh my gosh, so I had time to think about it, honestly, because I was the last one, right? And I was like, okay, I can go from the top to the bottom, and nonetheless, right? Mis abuelitas, my mom, my sisters, my friend who's here from high school, like you get really good women when you surround yourself with, and there was 2 people that stayed in my mind. Well, actually 3. And it's so crazy that you say your dad, because, oh my gosh, now I'm gonna get emotional.
It's lots of love in this room. That's what it is. It's the emotions. It's because of so much love that we have.
No, but I was gonna say, I'm not gonna say my dad because I know that's where I cry.
That's all right, girl.
But it definitely is my dad.
Yeah.
Somos de León, Guanajuato. Yo también llegué aquí.
All right.
I immigrated here to the U.S. till I was about 1.5 years, and so I grew up here. And even though I'm not officially a U.S. citizen of here, right? I am a U.S. citizen now, but mi sangre es mexicana, 100%, right? Y coming here, I remember my dad taking all those hard labor jobs. My mother, stay-at-home mom, right? Like, I found from her and learned so much from her in that nurturing mother, woman, part of it, because it's so necessary. Even in the world that we're in right now, like, we as women, as mothers, like, we are the heart and soul of families, right? And it's like, if we do not have that warmth in us, ya estuviera de la patada el mundo, right? And I think we bring that so much, but my dad has such a huge impact in what I do now, for sure. Because he worked in this for very long, he also busted his back in construction, in concrete. He was a taxi driver for many years. I mean, él lo que fuera para proveer a su familia, right? And one of the things is that I always saw that from him. And one of the things that I always saw from my dad is he still went to get the next thing. So I'm not original from Chicago. I grew up in California. Hence my hoops, I never get rid of them.
That's right, I got family in California. Still love them, still love them.
Yes, So coming to Chicago with my dad, I was about 13 years old, and he came here to Chicago. It was a very, very different dynamic from California, right? California, you have work all year, I'm sorry. In Chicago, it gets cold, it's snowing, y se acaba la construcción, right?
Apologies for that. Yeah, the weather sucks, but the summer's amazing.
But they're amazing, yes. I mean, I've loved it here. I love it so much. So my dad found himself with the obstacle of like, okay, se acabó la construcción, pues what do I do now? He has a very, very broken English, but he said, you know what? I'm gonna do taxes. And he actually started a tax business. And I was 17 years old when I started to work with him in the tax industry. I had my baby by that time, y él me decía, mija, tú tienes que aprender algo que te va a proveer. I was the rebel, soy la oveja negra de la familia, like I'm so sorry, mom and dad. But I was always a rebel, okay? Hence, 15 pregnant, right? Pero when he told me that, he said, mija, you have a baby now, you are 17, you know, what are you gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna become a photographer. He's like, mija, like that's great, like pursue your dreams, that's good, pero do something that que te va a traer ingreso constante. He's like, and taxes aren't going anywhere, okay, just so you know. I was like, no, but I don't want to. And I was like, okay. And then one thing that really did struck that he said to me, and until this day, I will never forget it, and it's something that I even pass on to my daughter. He said, mija, usted sea la mujer que cuide de su hogar. Usted sea la mujer que respete y honre a su esposo. Usted sea la mujer que cría bien hijos. Pero nunca se te olvide que si a ti te llega a pasar algo, disculpa, si a tu esposo le llega a pasar algo, si llega a haber algo en tu vida, you need to have a skill set to be able to keep going. So when he said that to me, I was like, oh snap, like that's true. You know, God forbid something happens. God forbid se enferma mi esposo. God forbid my husband passes. ¿Qué voy a hacer yo? You know, how do I keep providing for my family? How do I keep providing for my children? And I think that is something that stuck to me so, so much, que mi papá definitivamente fue una de las personas que me influye. I can't even say it. Me influye, me inspira muchísimo, porque es de los papás, ¿verdad? Que dice, like you'll see him, es muy serio, es bien, like, you think he's mad all the time. Pobrecito, my husband.
That's my dad too. That's totally my dad.
So I've been with my husband since I was 15. Gracias a Dios, we've been together, right, since desde que estamos juntos, high school sweethearts, and the father of my children. And I'm like, pobrecito mi esposo, porque así le fue en feria, ¿verdad? Con my dad, because of how he is. Pero it's just the fact that as I continue to grow, like mi papá, y es de los papás que a lo mejor entienden ustedes, no es muy fácil decir, mija, I'm proud of you. Mija, you did a good job, or mija, you're doing a good job, right? So it's hard to hear that from him. In the last 5-6 years, my dad has had a huge revolution happen in his heart, in his mind. Y pienso que también fue because he tapped in so much more in his faith también, que ahorita me lo dice. And that like heals so much. I'm like, it's one thing to hear it from friends and family and your mom sometimes, ¿eh? Pero que te lo diga tu papá, mija, I'm proud of you. Like, oh, like that just is really, really good. So I'd have to say, if it's someone, it's mi papá.
Thank you for sharing that. I like to make fun of my dad now because he's the main parent, and he's navigating a new world with being the main parent. But like growing up, he was so like machista, and I remember hating it because it was like, what the fuck, dude? Like you're telling me, like sorry, apologies. I speak French a lot. But I remember being like, this is very confusing because on one hand, he's like, I'm gonna teach you all the things so that way you never need a man. And then on the other hand, it's like, but my dad has done a great job at becoming way more progressive and feminist now as he's gotten older. That was also totally up to my mom because my mom was like, no, señor, that's not how it's gonna go up in this household. But it's wonderful because I think like, I always, whenever I talk to people who are like, especially young women who are like, well, my parents don't let me do anything, I always feel bad because I'm just like, it's a cross that you're bearing, but that shouldn't limit you. And it shouldn't stop you from wanting to figure out the pursuits. And yeah, like we gotta figure out what our professional like status is and, you know, get a job to make sure that we're paying the bills. But that doesn't mean that we gotta stop following our dreams. Like there's always, always, always time and opportunity to follow our dreams. So we are moving to our last question. I know we want to be here all day because this is great. I keep saying I'm going to start a podcast one day and maybe this is the year. Who knows? And invite all these lovely ladies back because this is amazing. But I'm going to throw a couple of our questions together and also give you all opportunity. But before I do that, you might notice that there are some lovely baskets up here for our panelists. They are getting some wonderful Yetis, so your cafecito, your chocolatito for the future. And we like to give people a little, some bottles of tequila because the tequila is actually a women-owned brand.
Okay, I love it. Thank you.
In the audience, Lisbeth Ramirez giving you a shout out. Poderosa, I think you're launching today. But these are little gifts that we wanted to give to our panelists. Lisbeth is in the room, so if y'all want to hit her up and be like, where can I buy your wares? Like, we're all about supporting Latinas and women of color to make sure that we are supporting each other because some people don't appreciate our dollars, but we do. But I wanted to wrap up a couple of things because I think obviously we're talking about your work, the job, and all of you all have like several different jobs. But there's the influencer community, the Latina influencer community, but then there's a broader influencer community. So you can take your time on what you want to answer. I'm gonna put a couple things out there. What can the broader influencer community be doing to help support Latina influencers? Is one of them. What are some things that we as a community can learn from you all, or how can we help support you? And then ultimately, what is your advice for the community in general? Like advice based off of the work or just advice that you want to give because you're like, I got a microphone and I want to make sure that I co-sign whatever I'm saying on my accounts to be like, yes, this is what it is. Rebecca?
I want to jump in, like real head first. Okay, because the next 4 years, we're just going to continue to experience violations of our human and immigration rights. And so I think it's incumbent upon us, our community, to do a few things. The two sectors that I feel are very critically important right now, every sector is important, but especially these two, is the nonprofit sector. Talk about influence. Yep. Those are the people that when you talk for elected officials, talking about activating the voices of people at the grassroots, they have the love and trust and respect and the confianza of the people, right? And so there's nonprofit sector. And then there's the funder community who funds the missions of these nonprofits. And so as someone who led a $12 million organization, 44 people on the payroll, and this is Chicago, honey, the elbows are very sharp when it comes to raising money for your nonprofit. How many nonprofit people do we have in the room? Yeah, okay. Just give them a hug before you leave and say, que sigan la lucha. But it's really important, and this is something so simple, so tangible. Follow their pages. Follow their pages, amplify their voices, because guess what? They are amplifying the voices of our people at the grassroots level. And I want to shout out some foundations that are actually led by Latinas and are founded by Latinas. Maria from Healthy Communities Foundation, Michelle over at Woods Fund, Julian Grace Foundation that was founded by Hondureña. Anybody from Honduras? Okay. La única está ahí.
Represent, girl, represent.
You are not alone. Okay. So, but these foundations are being led by amazing Latinas, okay? And it's really important that we follow their pages as they amplify the voices of their grantee partners. I sound like a commercial for influencers. Make sure you like, comment, and share. But that stuff really matters because I geek out. I listen to all the podcasts about how social media, the algorithm, all that stuff. But if you like, comment, and share, the algorithm's gonna think, this is something that people wanna see. Let's push it more out into the Explore page. Let's push it out into the FYP. More eyeballs see it, your mission that you're trying to drive, the people you're trying to impact. That's gonna reach more voices and more people. So I would it's something that simple, following the social media accounts of those nonprofits and those foundations are gonna be really, really important.
Hold on. That's all that needed was a mic drop right there. All right, ladies, who's next? What advice, things that the broader influencer community can do to help support Latinas? What can we do? Whatever you want, this is the time because we're wrapping it up.
I just want to say 2 words: collaborate, don't compete. Well, that's 4 words. But when we collaborate with each other and not competing with each other, we're actually helping each other out. You know, the approach has to be humility. It's not, hey, I need to be the top dog all the time. No, honey, it's like what she said, I'm the hardest working person all the time, and that gets her through the door. And actually, I learned that from you, Rebecca, my influencer. Yeah, mi influyente. We were trying to say, because Puerto Ricans say mi influente, and we were like, wait, there's a Y. Anyway, so yeah, we want to collaborate, but not compete. That's it.
Amazing, amazing. Mireya?
Well, I come from a 600 square foot salon, $12 haircuts, to growing an international brand. Sold all over the world. And when you're on top of the world, you think you're never going to be unbreakable. Well, business goes up and business goes down, right? Well, I got put in a situation where I nearly lost everything, and I had to start from the bottom and work myself up. And thank God, you know, God is good. I am back on track, more stronger than ever. And now I'm in the position of being able to give money away through our nonprofit organization. But I'm gonna say something. Last year I came to this event and I got empowered. I got to meet a lot of people, and I came by myself, all by myself. I don't come with friends, I don't come with employees, I network. And it's situations like this is why I got my business back up. It's because I network. Relationships are your biggest assets. Hey, you see this cell phone? I might not have 1 million followers, but I definitely have every CEO in the beauty industry in my phone where I could call. I'm like, hey, I haven't brought Frank Fulco from America's Beauty Show. Stand up and say everybody. Everybody needs to meet him. And influence and connections like this is what you need to do. Leave with everybody's number. Call them afterwards. They follow up on your things, and you're gonna see that it's gonna be really powerful. Relationships are your biggest assets. And this is something that I teach with my soul. It's my purpose now, because I help so many beauty professionals get to the next level, because when I started, I didn't have the right foundation. I didn't have the right tools. And I ended up failing because I didn't have the right mentors. My business was running so fast that I couldn't catch up. But because I have the right mentors and the right connections, like here, you're gonna end up thriving. So let's all follow each other, keep on growing, and growing this beauty industry like never before. Well, my beauty industry, but this beauty Latino community.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I go?
Yeah, Noemi, go right ahead.
So I think the girls have really nailed it, right? And how do we do those collaboration? I love that because I use it a lot, collaboration over competition, all the time, because I'm teaching other moms how to do bookkeeping. And I've had people be like, well, aren't you just creating competition for yourself? I'm like, no, because number one, Dios da pa todos, right? And number two, right? Not everyone is going to be my ideal client, and that's okay. And I cannot reach the 35 million businesses that are here, right? Like, there's not enough bookkeepers, taxes, CPAs, EAs, whatever you want to call, right? So one of the main things is, do know, ladies, that there is someone out there in the social media industry that can relate to you. And one thing that I have learned is definitely follow and support those that you can relate with. Because that's very important, number one, for our mental health. Number two, to not compare ourselves, to be like, oh, I want to be like that person. I want to be like her. I want to be like she is. Well, I can't do this because she's like that. But this is the thing. Tú eres tú. Y tú tienes tu historia. Y el mundo lo tiene que escuchar. So that is the beauty of social media, that you can put that story out there. And there will be a woman, there will be a mom, there will be a dad, there will be someone out there who is going to be like, yes, like I understand that, right? So it's important to, I tell my girls when I'm coaching them, I'm doing their bookkeeping business, like, right, scroll with a purpose. So if you find yourself scrolling just to be scrolling, you're wasting your time. You're scrolling with a purpose for networking. You're scrolling with a purpose to follow and influence the people that are important to you, right? And that are gonna help you do better, right? No nomás estar allí till 2, 3 in the morning watching TikToks. I see you girls.
I think we've all been guilty of that.
Stop calling me out. Sometimes we can't sleep. Like, we wake up at 3 a.m. and we got to do something to put us back to sleep.
I mean, so it's very funny, and I'm sorry to say it, because I was telling my friend, she was like, you look very tired. I said, you know, my brain doesn't shut off, and my brain just had to go to sleep to literally shut it off.
Yeah.
And so just to finalize on the part of the collaborations, it's like, you know, ladies, like if whenever you need anything, right? Like, I am very active in my social media. I don't have the hundreds of thousands of followers, but I do have the right community, and I love to serve my community. So, you know, ladies, like, at any moment, se acuerdan de alguien de acá, acuérdense, you know, from me over here in the corner. But always open to being like, hey, how are you inspiring and helping other people in the community? That is what moves me a lot. And that is what I would love to continue collaborations with like this. So thank you for having me here.
That's amazing. Thank you. All right, Angelina.
Yeah, I'll share 2 tips, I think, 2 little words of advice that can really apply, I think, to anyone in this room and anything, like any profession. And the first one, which I kind of touched on in my first answer, was to be authentic. If you are on social media, I think people have gotten really good at figuring out when someone is being real and when someone is being fake. And more than anything, being authentic really drives an audience for yourself that is a community of like-minded people that are gonna kind of carry you to the finish line. And the second one is to really, really, really believe in yourself. Like, you really have to be your biggest fan and like have your goals super clear. I'm gonna share a tiny story. I just was in Miami last night, receiving, I'm gonna toot my own horn for a little bit.
You go ahead, toot it. Toot.
I was there for an award show for songwriters, and it was 50 songs that were presented for regional Mexican, urban Mexican music. And of the 50 songs, I was the only woman songwriter.
Woot.
And it was a really big deal for me, and it was like something that I like struggled with. The song that I received the award for was Que Agonía by Yuridia and Ángel Aguilar. And it was something that was released 3 years ago. It took me 3 years to be like,
wait, Que Agonía?
yeah.
Y'all better give it up. She, like, her song's on the radio. Like, that's a big deal.
But it was a big deal, and it took me the 3 years that it's been out to like really believe like, wow, I helped create the song, and it was like a really important moment for me. And I think it was so important for me to like believe like, wow, I deserve this, because 5 minutes after I got off the stage, I had a man in the music industry come up to me and was like, really? Like, you actually wrote that song? And
fuck that guy. Yeah.
But I think
You see all the mamas in the room where we're like, what?
Everybody was like, what? I'm gonna tell you, fuck that guy.
I know, but if I would have been in that situation, you know, a couple years ago, I would have been like, wow, he's right. Like, maybe I don't deserve to be here. And I was just like, yeah, I wrote the song. Like, do you have any any follow-up questions? Like, what else?
I'm gonna tell everybody that I know you now.
But it was, again, like really the importance of believing in yourself and like believing that you belong in these rooms and that you hold a lot of magic, and just let it out.
That's beautiful. I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm glad that you had the inner strength to say, no, not today, sir. Not today. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Angelina, you're gonna close us out here?
Ooh, okay. I mean, I feel like these amazing, powerful women already said so many things that I would say as well. But yeah, definitely believe in yourself, follow your heart, chase your dreams, and work as hard as you possibly can. And yeah, do what makes you happy, and know that real change happens when we show up for each other and we support each other and build our community together.
All right, everybody, give it up for our panelists, our amazing Influyente influencers, for showing their vulnerability, but also their advice. Yes.